Welcome to the webinar on automating security compliance on Amazon Web Services. My name is Russ Schaefer from CloudRockchuck, a leader in cloud security compliance. What I'd like to do is give you an overview of cloud trends and solutions and the need for our solution, give you a brief overview of how the RockChuck Protect security compliance platform works, and then show you how it can protect your workloads on Amazon Web Services. So let's first take a brief look at what's happening in the cloud and what solutions are available today. We know that businesses are very attracted to the cloud because of its flexibility and cost advantages. You can spin up on-demand IT resources when you need them and balance where you spend your money, so you can get a better optimization of CapEx and OpEx. But all is not so great in the cloud because there's a challenge, and that's around cloud security compliance and really just security in general. Enterprises need to protect data and meet security compliance requirements. They have auditors that check in usually every quarter or maybe more frequently to make sure they're compliant with standards on how you protect user data or data that you're responsible for. And on-premise IT security solutions really don't scale to the cloud. Challenge also is that a lot of enterprises are trying to use manual, outdated approaches for compliance that are slow, error-prone, and really impact their ability to innovate because they have to stop, make sure their IT operations are compliant before they continue, which slows down their innovation process. This can also increase their cloud management costs 40 to 60%. So it's a significant impact. So what do enterprises really need? They need an automated compliance solution that prevents security failures, measures vulnerabilities, and makes sure that your enterprise is protected, and then really helps them cost-effectively leverage the cloud. So CloudRockchuck takes care of a lot of that by automating and simplifying cloud security across traditional IT. So if you're in a data center today and have an on-premise requirement, our solution works there. Second is around private clouds, as those are starting to grow using VMware, OpenStack, or maybe branded private cloud solutions like HP Enterprise Helium. And public clouds, like we're going to talk about today, with Amazon Web Services being the largest vendor in that space, but IBM Cloud, Microsoft Azure, and Rackspace being other solutions that are available in the market. Our platform is available as an agentless security service, or a SaaS, and as I mentioned, on-premise security appliance. So if you need it right there in your data center, like one of our clients, Visa, we can satisfy that requirement. We provide server protection for Windows and Linux workloads, including VMware, OpenStack, and containers. And then Gartner gave us an award this year as a cool vendor in IT automation because of our leadership in automating the whole cloud security compliance processes. So a very distinguished award, and we're very happy and grateful for that. So what value does that bring to you, our solution? So CloudRockchuck enables enterprises like yourself to securely move to the cloud. By unifying security across on-premise, private clouds, and public clouds, we enable you to basically leverage the cloud however it makes the most sense. Move your workloads where you need them to be to take advantage of the cost advantages that the cloud provides while maintaining compliance. By giving you an automated solution, we can lower your OpEx costs up to 40 to 60% by automating about 95% of the processes for maintaining security compliance. The other benefit is that because we give you an automated solution, we can provide you complete broad coverage, making sure that all your assets are protected with the most recent security capabilities. Our services, it keeps up to date with the latest standards using the Defense Department Mission Critical Profile as a standard for how to protect your assets, and keeping up to date with standards like the payment card industry, digital security standard, which a lot of vendors who do retail transactions have to be compliant with. The other aspect of having an automated solution is that you're able to innovate and respond to market demands quickly. One of our clients is a retailer that has an online marketplace. They want to add products very quickly so they can keep up with consumer demand and have a very innovative shopping experience. Before, they had a manual compliance process. By adding our service, they would automate that process and keep up with demands of their consumers without having to worry about not being compliant. So there's a great example of how automation enables an organization to keep up with the speed of the cloud and not impact the development operations. So let's talk about how this platform works. So the process is, as I mentioned before, we take standards and best practices, including NIST, DISA, and industry standards like the payment card industry digital security standard, and let the CISO or the security officer of a company or whoever is responsible for defining that determine the right profile. And profile is basically based upon the different types of virtual machines you want to have out in the marketplace. Which ones are internet facing, which ones are internal, how you define how the security structure should be set up for those. We'll give you a standard profile. You can modify that based upon the needs of your organization. Then we'll go in and enroll all the virtual machines that are brought up with that profile automatically. So they're protected from the time they're created till the time that they're decommissioned and a new one is brought up. We'll go in and examine the current state on a regular basis. If you need to check them every hour or every day, commonly customers may want to check every day or even every week, depending upon the needs of your organization. Bottom line is you want to make sure that whenever you have to provide the results of your security status, you can provide those to an auditor or anybody else at the board who wants to check into what's going on and what the status is. We can enforce that profile by making sure that as developers move along, they may change things. So it's called drift in essence, where your security status changes over time. We'll go in and enable you to update that and correct that to the right security profile, no matter when you are in the development process. The last thing, as I mentioned earlier, is you're able to report and retain all the information about what's been happening in your system from beginning to end. So if you have to do an audit check and look at what happened in the beginning of the quarter and what happened at the end of the quarter and show that the change in your security status and that it's always been compliant, you can provide that to auditors on demand. As I mentioned earlier, the key thing is that this works consistently across all your different IT infrastructure choices, whether it's traditional IT in the data center, a private cloud in your own data center, or out in the public cloud, or just any public cloud like Amazon Web Services. So how does this work from a user and developer perspective? Let's take a look at that. So end users and developers. So end users, the best approach to make it easy for them is a lot of organizations use what's called a service catalog, which is basically all the different services that an end user, say a marketing department, can utilize to run their business. So they go in and pick a choice for a virtual machine. In our case, we'll actually automatically apply a security profile. So the user doesn't even have to know that they're selecting that, but that is automatically taken care of. All they do is select the size of the machine they want to use, which you'll see here in our demonstration in a few minutes, and then pick it, deploy it, and then start running their application. In the background, the IT department can monitor the status of what was actually created, see that the profile was applied, that everything was taken care of, that it's secure, and monitor that throughout its life span until it's decommissioned. On the DevOps side, we provide the ability for any developer to do the same thing for their development environment. So they can create an image, automatically apply a profile, and then monitor, and the IT department can monitor its status throughout its life. And then as it gets close to production, up the security profile to meet the needs of a production environment automatically. And of course, through enterprise portals, another way to actually enter into creating a virtual resource with a profile already established. As you see to the right-hand side, in the center is, again, Cloudrox applying that profile, and then doing that consistently across all the different IT choices you have, whether it's your traditional data center today, the private cloud, or the public cloud. Now let's take a look at how it looks in Amazon Web Services. So the start of the process is similar to what I talked about before, is we've created an environment where an Amazon machine that a particular enterprise gets a choice to use already has a security profile built in. In this case, we're using the payment card industry digital security standard. An example of that is any retailer who has payment card transactions. Visa is one of our clients, has to have compliance to the payment card industry digital security standard. So this provides that automatically as part of any virtual machine that's created on top of Amazon. So we have the profile available here with a standard image. Now we need to pick out exactly what we want the configuration to be. So as you'll see here, we automatically pick that standard image up. Now we're going to define what those resources are for your specific application. So we'll select that first. And now we've actually created an instance for that particular customer to use with all of the configurations that they chose. And now we'll kind of take a look at what it looks like as an operating machine. Great, so there it is up and running. Now you're actually ready to use your application. So from a user perspective, that's the end of the process. As you can see, it's extremely seamless. The user didn't really have to make any choices except for picking the specific configuration they wanted using a standard list that their IT department has created. Very easy. And then on the next step, we're actually going to show you what the system administrator sees in the IT department. So they can monitor the status, make sure everything happened properly. And we'll take you through two different scenarios. The first one is the one we expect here, where everything's automatic. We go in, we protect the profile, and you'll see all the different rules that we've actually taken care of automatically. The second scenario that I'll take you through is if our service wasn't there, and you can see how the current off-the-shelf virtual machines from all cloud providers really don't provide the protection that you require, and I'll show you how we can go in and then how we go through the remediation process to fix all that. So first, let's take a look at the system administrator's view in the RockShox Protect console. You see the machine that we just brought up that the user created is here and available. So let's check the status. So you'll see that in the payment card industry standard, there's 165 rules. Again, these are settings for the operating system that we've taken care of. And you'll see that the report lists all the different rules that passed. Now that's a situation that we'd like to see. Everything is taken care of, everything is protected. So let's take a closer look at how you can then provide a report out to show that you've been compliant. So there's a number of different choices you have: a summary, executive summary, and a detailed report. So let's take a look at one of those examples. Here again, this machine, you'll see the profile again, this payment card industry digital CC compliant, which means that it's compliant with the digital security standard for PCI. And you'll see all the different rules that were applied, the high, medium, and low priority. You'll see that it's passed all of them. And you get all the details below. Now let's look at scenario number 2, where we actually didn't automatically apply the profile, and to see what vulnerabilities you're left with when you just take an off-the-shelf VM from Amazon or any other vendor and start using it. So we've got that same virtual machine, except this time we've not actually applied the profile automatically to make sure that, and mediated it to make sure that it's protected. We're going to actually apply the profile, but show you what is needed to fix it. So you see the same 165 rules over the right-hand side here, and you'll see that now we have 61 failures. What that means is basically the standard off-the-shelf Amazon virtual machine is not compliant with the payment card industry digital security standard. So we need to fix that. So we'll take you through the process that our machine does automatically by just showing you one example of a rule that we'll fix. So we looked at, we want to fix the maximum number of authentication attempts permitted per connection. It must be set to 4 or less. In this case, it's actually set to 6. So it's out of compliance. You'll see we've actually ranked all the high severity items. You see there's quite a few. And we picked this one out as an example. Here we'll look at clicking on the description to see what is this about and why do I need to fix this. So we need to check the maximum value of authentication attempts permitted per user. Again, its requirement has to be 4, and right now it's 6. So we've got to fix that. So in the case, we'll tell you exactly what we're going to do to fix it. We're going to set the maximum tries in this particular file to 4 from currently what it is today, which is 6. So we click on that. Now it's fixed. So this, again, is a process that we went through for all of those rules when we actually took the virtual machine in the previous scenario and automatically fixed it. I just showed you one example of what we do behind the scenes to make sure you are protected. So now we successfully remediate. We can go back in and look as an IT department that do a report and see, yes, it is successfully remediated. So now we can see that it's taken care of. And then we can actually go in and do a quick report to see that we are not compliant. So there we go. So you'll see that we actually reduced the number of rules that remediated. So now that failed. So now we have one less. So that's an example of how our system applies to Amazon Web Services. Let me just take you through a quick summary of the key things I showed you. First, I showed you how we can apply a security profile, in this case, the payment card industry digital security standard, automatically to any Amazon Web Services image. Your IT department sets up a standard profile, connects it to an Amazon Web Services image, and then you're able to deploy that in a protected manner. Second is that we show you we can actually continue to check it, do reports, do the auto remediation. I showed you an example of just one rule being remediated, and in the first step, I showed you the fact that all of them can be remediated automatically. And showed you the ability to do audit-ready reporting and do on-demand reporting on the status of a particular machine. The other aspect I showed you was that our service, again, works across Amazon. I mentioned earlier that it works across all IT infrastructure, private clouds, and public clouds. It gives you the flexibility to deploy wherever you might want. In this case, integrate it into a equivalent of an Amazon service catalog and enable the DevOps to also take advantage of it without any effort. The last piece is around the deployment model. So I show you that the architecture will enable you to implement it as a SaaS or an appliance, and that we support all different implementations, including virtual resources and bare metal. So to conclude and wrap up this webinar, I wanted to kind of cover the kind of key things you get from implementing our solution. First, because you're using an automated solution, you can accelerate your adoption of the cloud to take advantage of the benefits of reduced CapEx and reduced OpEx expenses, because you can deploy your workloads wherever you want them to be. We can reduce your OpEx expenses by up to 40 to 60%, because now we've removed the requirement for manual security compliance, which eats up all those costs, because you have to basically go in and configure the machines on a manual basis. Because we provide you an automated system, you get the best coverage from a security perspective. I show you an example of the security profile from the payment card industry. We can also apply something from the Defense Department called the DISA-STIGs, which provides mission-critical enterprise protection, and automatically update those so you have the best protection available in the marketplace. I showed you how we can use audit reports to show to your compliance officers that you are compliant, no matter what the time period may be. Beginning of the quarter, end of the quarter, every day or every hour if need be. And because we've integrated into DevOps, we can accelerate your ability to change your IT department setup, no matter however you need to basically meet the needs of the market. I explained an example from one of our retailers who has a very innovative, fast-moving online marketplace for home and garden products. They basically need to add products all the time. They were being impacted previously by slow manual security compliance. Our automated system enabled them to continue to innovate as fast as they really needed to while maintaining compliance. And last area I didn't really mention a whole lot about is if you do have a bare metal machine and you do need things like geofencing or geotagging for specific workloads, for example, some banks or some financial institutions can only run specific or use specific user data in particular locations, we provide that capability as well. I want to thank you for attending this webinar on Amazon Web Services and how we use Rackspace Protect security compliance across Amazon, traditional IT, and other cloud platforms. Thank you for attending, and please check www.cloudrockset.com/resources for more information, other webinars, and downloadable documents that will be helpful. Thanks again.